So what is a map? A map is also called dictionary, particularly in Python. In other languages, it is called map, but in Python, we call it dictionary. A map maps from some keys to values. So you can think of it as a container of key and value pairs. There is one caution I want to make. Keys cannot be repeated, and keys are case sensitive, and keys must be immutable. You cannot change keys once you define one key. All right, so that is one caution. And another thing is values otherwise can be of any data type and can be duplicated. You can save the same values, but with different keys, all right? And these are some functionalities of a map. Of course, we need to be able to create a new set called D, and we want to know the number of items inside this map or dictionary, and we want to access to the value of the item with the key K. So this is going to be how we are accessing some items. And we want to implement this method, get. And this method returns the value of item with the key K if it exists. Otherwise, it's going to return V0. We already saw this method in the Python primer class. And we also need to be able to set some values corresponding to a specific key called K, like this. And we also want to check whether key is inside this dictionary or map. And of course, we need to be able to iterate through all the items inside a map. And as usual, similar to sets, map data structure itself is very straightforward and easy to understand. And we are going to combine this map data structure with other structures to solve more complicated problems in the following classes. And similar to sets, what we are going to implement in this class, the map ADT is not the efficient version. We're going to make map data structure efficient in the next class using hashing, all right? So let's implement map ADT together. First, we are going to define dict class. The first method is constructor. We're going to use list, similar to set. And defining the len method is very simple. We want to set item like this. We need to receive key and value. And we need to find whether this key is inside this list already or not. Okay, if I exists inside this list or dictionary, we're going to change the value of this key with new value like this. And if this key does not exist inside this dictionary, then we are going to add this new value inside this list, all right? So this is like this, all right? So in this case, because dictionary is first defined, there is no item corresponding to this 5 key. So we are going to create a new slot and store this item and key into that slot, all right? That is how we define set item method. And let's implement this find key method. When we're given a key K, we're going to check all the items inside this list. And because we store tuple of key and value, the first element is going to be key, right? And the second element is going to be value. So that is why we are using index 0 here. And we're comparing the given key with the keys stored inside this list. And if these two values are equal, then we're going to return I. Otherwise, we're going to return -1. Okay, so here, when the return value is -1, that means this key is not inside this list, this dictionary. And this is how we implement find key method. And we also want to implement contains method. This is very easy. We are going to use find key method we already implemented and check whether this value is larger than 0 or not. Okay. So this is very simple. And the next method we are going to implement is get item method. This is going to be like this, called in this way. And when we call this should return this list, this value stored at this position. All right, so this is what we are going to implement. What we are going to do is, first we need to find the position of this item corresponding to key K. And if I is larger than 0, we're going to return the value. So as I told you before, we're storing tuple of key and value. And the first item, which is index 0, is going to be the key, and index 1 is going to be the value. So that is why we are returning the data indiced at I and indiced at 1. Okay. And if this value is smaller than 0, that means this key is not inside this dictionary. And we're going to raise key error. All right. And another method we wanted to implement was this get method. This is very simple. This is pretty similar to the get item method. We're going to find the key first. And if this key value is larger than 0, that means this key is inside this dictionary. And we're going to return the value. Otherwise, we're going to return V0. Okay, so this is how we implement dictionary. So this is very simple to use. And from now on, we're going to have a look at the applications of maps. Some of you might be interested in biotechnology, and when we are processing information inside DNAs, when we are interpreting DNA sequences, we use maps quite a lot. In particular, we want to convert a DNA sequence into the corresponding sequence of proteins. So let's see how we can do this. So for example, this is the sequence of DNAs, and this is going to be the corresponding sequence of proteins, right? And when we want to convert this value, this sequence of DNA into sequence of proteins, we need a map from DNA sequence to a protein. And this is the map or dictionary from DNA to protein sequence like this. And we could use this dictionary and iterate through this DNA sequence to convert this DNA sequence into the sequence of proteins like this, all right? So this is one way to utilize map data structure. And another application is going to be our PPP exercise. Please have a time and implement this function. The functionality of this function is like this. We are given an array and we are given K. And we want to find the longest subarray that sum to K. So here, 10 and 5 are going to be summed up to 15. However, 5271 is going to be summed up to 15 as well. And the longest subsequence, the length of the longest subsequence is 4. So it's going to return 4, and the longest subsequence 5271 like this. And when we have a look at the second example, -1, 2, 3, this one does not sum to 6. So it's going to return 0. And when we have a look at the last one, we want to sum to -5. And when we sum up to this position, and it's going to be sum up to -5, and the length is going to be 5. All right. Please send me PPP message before you tackle this problem, and take some time and